Hi you guys, it's Amanda with Healthy House on the Block, and I'm here with another weekly video and tip on creating an indoor space that really supports your health and wellness. This week we are going to be talking about plastic-free and eco-friendly coffee makers. So I love coffee. I have tried giving it up before just to go with like a healthier option, maybe a tea or maybe some sort of antioxidant beverage in the morning, and I just cannot give up my coffee. And so because I love coffee so much, I wanted to find a way that I could really make it a little bit less toxic in choosing the correct coffee beans, in choosing the correct coffee mugs and what I drink out of, and then ultimately choosing something that is going to be as toxin-free as possible to brew my coffee. So I did quite a bit of research, and I'm going to be sharing with you the plastic-free options that I have found. I will warn you, there aren't a lot of options in the automatic coffee maker section, but I did find a few, and so I'm going to be sharing those with you, as well as other options like the French press or pour over coffee, which are great alternatives that keep it completely plastic free. So I'm going to bring you through some slides that really go through this week's blog post in a video format. It's very easy to watch and digest. If you are someone who likes to click links and take a look more in depth at some of the studies that I'm going to share with you when it relates to plastic and our beverages, then I would encourage you to go to this week's blog post, which is linked at the end of the video description. Otherwise, let's get started and talk coffee makers. So I am such a lover of coffee. Coffee is the way I start my workday, and it's one of my favorite parts of my morning routine. My family knows that it's always better to let me have just one sip in silence before the day gets going. But coffee, just like anything, can be too much of a good thing and can vary in just how toxic the whole process is. So finding a plastic-free coffee maker and eco-friendly coffee accessories is such a great way to clean up your coffee making routine. And believe me, I do know that I could probably indulge in a healthier morning beverage, but I also know I could make my coffee drinking habit much less healthy by adding sweeteners and creams. I am just a firm believer in doing what is best for you and for your family, and I will always encourage that belief here. I am in no way a model for a completely holistic or toxin-free home, but I always try to think about how I can tweak my habits and my lifestyle to be just a little bit healthier. Coffee, I feel like, falls right into this category for me. I try to make it as healthy as possible, even though there are healthier choices out there. It's the same with so many areas of my home, in fact. If I can't change something right away, I just make it as healthy as it can be while the toxic product or material is still in my home. A healthy home is all about creating a space that really works for your lifestyle. Sometimes we do need to reassess that lifestyle, but for the most part, adjusting our habits to fit our needs is how to do it. Even just small changes can add up to reduce a lot of toxins. And when it comes to coffee, you can reduce toxins by using a plastic-free coffee maker, avoiding toxins in travel mugs, and looking for fair trade coffee to brew. The kitchen is one of my favorite places to get rid of toxins, and coffee makers are just no exception to this. Because coffee makers are often used daily and coffee can be consumed frequently, it's a great place to cut out toxins for good. So if you are a coffee drinker, you know that the typical coffee maker can get really hot all around the appliance and not just the carafe. One of the most important things to remember about plastics and food is that heat causes plastic toxins to leach into food at a much faster rate. Another important thing to remember is that the coffee maker itself is likely made with BPA, a bisphenol toxin. While BPA is generally avoided in containers we consume food and beverages out of, the coffee maker itself probably isn't BPA free if it's plastic. BPA is a toxin that disrupts the endocrine system and hormone production in otherwise healthy individuals. This disruption to normal hormone production can go on to increase the risk of cancer, lead to infertility issues, and cause high blood pressure. So you might think that finding a plastic but BPA-free coffee maker is the ticket to healthier coffee. And unfortunately, while we've been led to believe this is a better plastic option, there are still other bisphenol toxins used in the plastics. Bisphenol toxins are highly unregulated aside from BPA, and many of them have the same characteristics and toxic issues as BPA. The extremely high temperature that coffee brews at is one of the reasons coffee makers can be such a source of toxins at home. Any plastic part the hot water or coffee comes in contact with will leach BPA and other bisphenol toxins into your beverages. Automatic coffee brewers are probably the biggest culprit for plastic coffee makers. And if you use K-cups or coffee pods, there's even more concern as the plastic is thin and flimsy. While K-cups and coffee pods are BPA free, they're still using other bisphenol toxin replacements. Your hot water is going right through the plastic little cup and into your coffee mug, including the toxins. So the light here is that there are eco-friendly and plastic-free options for any type of brewing. You don't even have to change that much of your morning routine when it comes to your cup of joe. Finding a plastic-free coffee maker is easier than you might think, and I'm going to show you just how to do it. Find glass or stainless steel carafe. Most carafes are either glass or stainless steel already, but finding one that contains almost no plastic can be kind of tricky to find. Look to make sure the spout and drip top are free from as much plastic as possible. Anywhere your coffee touches the plastic, even BPA-free plastic, should be avoided. The drip basket is often forgotten about because the piping hot coffee runs right through it. You want to avoid plastic if at all possible. There are some great options out there that are plastic-free coffee makers, but you might have to hunt for them. Before you buy a coffee maker at the store, take a peek to make sure that the internal components aren't plastic as well. And if you're willing to make a slight adjustment to your morning routine, you can try French press coffee, which is one of my personal favorites, or pour over coffee. These options have so many more plastic-free coffee maker options because there are just fewer parts involved. Of course, you'll want to make sure that you use a toxin-free tea kettle too, but overall, it's a much healthier way to brew coffee. And if you're using a single-use coffee maker, use a stainless steel reusable K-cup or coffee pod. I have linked in this week's blog post one that you can use. You can then fill it with your own fair trade coffee to ensure it's the healthiest cup of coffee you can brew. And also in this week's blog post, I'm sharing with you my top picks for these plastic-free coffee makers. I'm also sharing with you plastic-free coffee accessories. So when a hot beverage is poured into a disposable cup, it becomes contaminated with tiny microplastic particles in just minutes. This is due to the direct contact of the beverage with the plastic lining of even a paper cup. And so I'll be sharing with you these plastic-free options to help make your coffee on the go even healthier. So I love shopping at Thrive Market for my fair trade coffee, and it doesn't break the bank. They have so many options from ethical companies, and I have to say it's some of the best coffee I've brewed at home. You want to do your best to stay away from decaf coffee, as that can actually have more chemicals in it due to the process they use to remove the caffeine. It's also best to purchase whole bean coffee and grind it yourself. Not only does it just taste better, but you have more control over the items in your own kitchen and what the coffee would come in contact with. A few good certifications you can look for when purchasing coffee are Fair Trade, USDA Organic, and the Rainforest Alliance. And finally, stick to Arabica beans, which generally have fewer mycotoxins, and then dark roast, which also has fewer toxins and less caffeine. I am also sharing with you a few of my absolute favorite picks for coffee, including some that are at Aldi. And if you'd like links from anything that I mentioned, head to my link at the end of the video description to find plastic-free coffee makers. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that you were able to get a little bit of information for when you are going to be purchasing a new coffee maker. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment or send me an email. Otherwise, I will be back here next week with another healthy house tip on creating an indoor space that really supports your health and wellness.